Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Weekly Shonen Jump Breakdown for the week of April the 2nd, 2018. I'm sorry, I'm sick. Doing my best to keep everything running. It's been a rough year for sick so far this year. This is what, 3 times? Regardless, let's get started. We start off the week with One Piece 900, Bad End Musical. This is a chapter. Big Mom gets the cake, and Perospero believes that she was just too tough for the poison, because, she's fine, and she loves it. Everybody thinks that Pudding was the one who saved the day. We know it was Sanji, and Pudding clearly isn't happy about it either, but there's nothing she can do about it if she wants Sanji to be safe. The Sun Pirates clear a path, and Oven walks through a mirror, because, Brulee's been doing some stuff. She got the bullets for all of the Big Mom family members to be able to hurt Germa with. And then Oven starts boiling the water. And it really... I wonder how many of the Sun Pirates just died immediately. Like, Oden doesn't normally go into that kind of thing. Normally we just get to see the people, being shocked from the attack and it knocking them back and stuff. But when you boil water with people in it, that's pretty rough. It's pretty rough, Oven. Don't hold back, do you, man? I mean, we already knew that, but still. We get to see the Mama Shanter approach the Sunny, and the German 66 being shot down. And we see Big Mom enjoying the cake and remembering her 6th birthday. And we see Judge being attacked. And then, Big Mom starts to sing her song, and we get to see the line where all the races of the globe are treated with normality. Which is easy to say, but look at the way that Katakuri's treated. Like, Big Mom claims that what she wants, but she doesn't actually care that much about her own dream. She's become deluded. And it really shows. Then they shoot the Sunny. No chapter next week. So I'm curious how they're going to get out of this. Frankie's not going to be happy when he sees what the Sunny looks like. But, they are fighting with a Yonko. It was a very long process to take down Doflamingo, and it wasn't going to be that easy to get away from Big Mom either. So, why? Why would you even... Not even the one close to me, the one all the way in the other room. Why? But yeah, it's going to make the story pretty interesting, I think. Pretty interesting. I mean, obviously the Straw Hats aren't dead, but there's been pretty funny seeing all the jokes that have been coming out of people like, well, now the series is about Katakuri. So, and it's entirely possible that this is just all in Big Mom's imagination of them beating the Straw Hats like that. Clearly, everything could be just fine on the other end of her imagination from how good the cake is. But, we'll see. We'll see. The Straw Hats are going to be fine. We wouldn't have gone through all this trouble just for them to be shot down here. Maybe Jinbei brought them underwater. Maybe the ship escaped underwater, and what we're seeing is just like some of the wood that got taken from the explosion. Maybe they got on one of the submarines. There's just too many options to be able to just guess, but I'm looking forward to seeing how it turns out. Not next week, of course, because there's no chapter next week. I'm just going to take a little break, but week after, we'll get there. Next up, we have The Promised Neverland 81, Defend to the Death. I'm pretty sure Zack and Pepe are dead. Pretty sure. It's possible they're not, and yeah, Zack got a lot of character development this chapter where we learned a lot of stuff about him. But I expect him to be dead. I really honestly do. We get to see that Nigel and Gillian don't want to believe it, and so Nigel pushes himself to a rash decision, but Gillian sees that rash decision and decides she's going to match it and blows her whistle to let Oliver know that something's not right, which of course just lets Bayon know that they're there. Then she rushes Bayon with the intent to take him out, which is not going to happen. He's going to murder her. She's dead as soon as next chapter starts, most likely. And then Nigel's going to die trying to take out Bayon. And now all they've done is let Bayon know that there's a plan and this is not just a regular hunt. So, good job. I get it. I absolutely get it. They're upset about their friends, and they want to, make sure they're okay. And they're worried about them, and they expected to die. Most of the kids expected to die in this fight, I'm sure. But that doesn't mean you let Bayon in on the plan. Like, you don't let him know something's going down. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It made sense in character, but it doesn't make it any less of a bad decision. Next up, we have Ziga number 3, Decision, and Then. And again, this will be the last Ziga chapter that we have in Weekly Shonen Jump. Ko passes out after saving Saya and wakes up in an adver base. I'm sorry. He's still clutching the gun. Nobody could get it out of his hand. Ko tells him Ziga's name and then asks them basically to teach him how to kill Ziga. He wants revenge for Amagi. And later on, as we find out, his mom. It's actually a pretty touching scene when Sod, that's the name of the guy, that cool looking guy with the fangs, when Sod and Saya take him to his house, and you get to see the ramifications of the biomatter disintegration ray, and how, of course, his mom is dead. Everybody in that area was dead. We also get to find out that the Ziga fragments self-terminate in captivity, so even when they're captured, they blow themselves, they kill themselves so that they can't be studied, and then fade away, which is pretty cool. Which continues to show that this is definitely not just a random thing. That Ziga was definitely bioengineered by somebody. But you get back to that moment where Saya is talking to Ko. Would you stop? I may have to go mute that one. You get back to this moment where Saya is talking to Ko, and she basically tells him to take his grief, his helplessness, and his fear and turn it into anger to fight Ziga, which is exactly what he does. We get a 2-month time skip, and Sod and Ko, they're getting along pretty well. And, Ko is determined to get his revenge on Ziga and tells Amagi to watch. Which, honestly, she probably wouldn't want him committing his life to killing this creature, but, that's not how revenge works. You don't normally consider what that person would want when you're focused on revenge. And we also get to see Bano telling the world leaders not to use nukes. Definitely don't do that, because this thing won't respond to nukes. They won't be able to stop it. But all in all, this was a really fun chapter. I enjoyed the scenes with Ko talking to Saya and Sod. The series desperately needed something to ramp it back down for a minute where they could focus on it before it goes back up into high gear. So this was a fun chapter. Next up, we have My Hero Academia 177 at the construction site. La Brava wants to pull out. It's time to go. This plan's shot. And we get to see Deku thank Hatsume and Ashido for the help with his new moves. Gentle winds up being hung up by his coat, and he pleads with Deku, who shoots him down. He doesn't want to help him. He doesn't want to turn around and just let him, get into UA. Gentle then uses his leg to create a trampoline to jump away from where he was hung, then pulls a Bellamy and just starts bouncing all over the place and attacking Deku. He pops Deku with one of his own air blasts that he's being reflected around. Then he plays dirty. He causes a girder to fall towards an old man that had come out to see what was going on. Deku saves him, of course, by catching the girder. But even La Brava calls him out on how dirty it is. I mean, yeah, he knew that Deku would save this guy, but Gentle, he went a little far there. And it makes me wonder if Gentle Criminal talks about how, he wants to do all this stuff for the right reasons, but if in the heat of the moment he makes some bad decisions, and that's why he's a criminal and not a hero. But regardless, Deku does catch this girder, and we cut over to everybody else who's worried about Deku. Where is he? Aoyama and Todoroki specifically. Meanwhile, Bakugo doesn't want to wear the shirt that the band got together to make, which is a pretty fun thing. We shoot back to Deku, who raises the girder with one arm and fires off another air blast, which is really cool. Deku, not holding back here. He wants to protect Eri and everybody else's hard work. He wants to save UA. And he's going to do it. La Brava decides it's time to use her quirk, and that's where we cliffhang for this chapter. But all in all, this was a really fun chapter. Getting to see Gentle use more of his cool abilities was nice, but also getting to see him showing a little bit more of a villainous side was also interesting. And then getting to see Deku just be a beast and raise that girder with one arm using one for all. So it was pretty cool. After that, we have We Neverland 57. A genius's new look lands in X's blind spot. We get to have a fun little interlude about barbers, and we find out that Yuiga gets his haircut by his little sister. Meanwhile, we have Ogata going to the salon, and Karasuma, which is the woman who runs the salon, is very perceptive. She recognizes that Ogata is in love with somebody, and so she decides to go all out for Ogata's love life. And she does. So much so that Yuiga doesn't even recognize her. Without knowing who she is, he still tries to help her, though. Because, he's Yuiga. And even when the strange woman sits beside him and he thinks she might be flirting with him, because he doesn't recognize her, he's still going to try and help her with her studying as well in the library. He tells her that she reminds him of someone he knows, and she asks about this person, and he tells her how great Ogata is. Without even realizing again that this is Ogata. And she finally asks him how she strikes him today, because Karasuma gave her some pointers on what to say, and he avoids the question. She invites Yuiga over to her house, who again, Yuiga's still thinking this is some random person he's never met, thinks that she's being far too forward, and he needs to go talk to her family. Because, Yuiga will one day wind up being a teacher. That's just obvious. He decides to go and talk to her parents, and he winds up figuring it all out when he's sitting with Ogata's dad, and winds up complimenting her while quoting the line from earlier about how you've become so beautiful. And her dad hears her call him Naruyuki. This is a really fun little chapter. We've seen before that Yuiga is not the most perceptive guy about when the girls change their looks, so it makes a lot of sense for that to come back in the main point of this chapter. I really liked the fact that Ogata was desperately trying to still study while also trying to find out how Yuiga felt, and that she didn't even consider that he wouldn't recognize her. Because why would she? I mean, that's clearly Yuiga. She's not going to go, hey, it's me, Ogata. Because why would she? Nobody does that. But, it was fun. I enjoyed this chapter. Especially at the end where the dad... And when he hears her call him Naruyuki, and how he's not super jazzed about that. Next up, we have Food Wars 257, How to Build a Specialty. Azami shoots down Soma, telling him they don't need him interfering as well, with Arena already corrupted enough as she is. We see a flashback of the previous night, where Soma made a dish to prove to Arena that he can win. She likes him, but tells him they aren't gourmet enough for it, and the two argue a little bit. Soma asks about the key when they take a break, and is told all about Azami's plan to use Arena's divine tongue to gauge and lead every chef in the world to be able to make perfect meals. He then decides to use her as the key as well for his own dish. Arena's a little concerned about this direction that Soma's taking. She doesn't seem too happy that he's using her like this. But when he unveils his appetizer, everyone panics. So this was a really fun chapter. Soma being Soma, playing his tricks. I did see some people that were a little upset that Soma would use Arena like this. But Soma has always used people's skills. I mean, literally the chapter where he fights Saito is all about him using people's skills, and people were super hyped about that then. It's just that in this case, he can't copy it himself. He has to actually go to that person to use them. And she was answering every question, so she didn't seem to have a huge problem with it. But it was still pretty cool to see him, use her to gauge it, especially when she makes the comment that she has a feeling he's not following the plan at all. So, Soma's going to be Soma, and this was a fun chapter regardless. Next up, we have Robot Laserbeam 51, Don Traps. Genro and Robo are tied, and they keep competing. They run again a little bit, even though they don't need to. They need to be conserving their strength. Robo's getting a bit too into it, and Sakushi is taunting Ginro. Ginro falls to the taunt, launches his ball in the bunker, ahead of Robo. Robo decides to use the EX laser to be able to get ahead of him, but Sakushi has noticed that something's off with the course. He doesn't tell Robo, of course, because they're enemies. And the Dawn Trap triggers, and Robo's ball falls into the pond. The crowd is shocked. They're like, Robo's way more accurate than this. What's going on? So, clearly Robo's going to figure it out too. I said before that I wasn't super down for Okuma getting in the way of these matches. I'm never down, honestly, when you have a match between two people in a sports manga for somebody to be interfering. That's not cool. Because I like the matches to just be straightforward matches. So, honestly, these next couple chapters are probably going to be not great for me, personally. Though I know there are some people that probably are super hyped to see the trapped courses and things like that. But regardless, we'll move on. Next up, we have Dr. Stone 52, Age of Energy. Again, imitates Tsukasa, and they extrapolate Tsukasa's plan to attack after winter ends. Taiju and Yuzuri are fine, because there's no long-range communication in the Stone world, right? Hyoga even thinks about how it's almost funny how useful long-range communication would be. But with a time limit above their heads, they move into steady cotton candy production to try and master the machine for gold thread. This is really cool, by the way. The way that they decide to start making things to make the thread, because they know that this long-range communication will be the difference. The problem is when the spin reverses. That's where it's losing the speed. And there is, of course, a bigger issue. They don't have enough people to work and to gather food. In the Stone world, food is very important, and they won't make it through winter without it. So Senku sets Kaseki to making gears, so they can use less people to do as much work. They decide to use Kohaku's shield, much to the old chief's chagrin, because, he gave that to Kohaku, but she gives it up willingly. Seeing the gears at work, Chrome gets an idea, and he pulls Kaseki off to work on it. Meanwhile, Senku puts the children and elderly to work braiding the wire, while everybody else gathers food. Chrome and Kaseki were working on a water wheel, which Senku repurposes, of course, into a hydroelectric power plant. Now, why Senku hadn't thought of a water wheel, who knows? Maybe that was later on down his line of thinking. He doesn't know the area as well as Chrome and Kaseki, so it's possible he didn't know that there was a river that close. Regardless, Chrome and Kaseki proved that, even if Senku wasn't around, yet again, that advancements would still be made because, people are still people. And repurposing it into a hydroelectric power plant, which allows them to now create enough power to use the tools without having to pull the people, it's going to make things very different. They are now in that age of energy. And they now have quite the leg up on Tsukasa's group that they didn't have before. So, looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing what kind of stuff they can pull off with that. Next up, we have Black Clover 151, Overwhelming Disadvantage. Raya calls Elf Rill Lyra, who hugs him in excitement. Asta calls out to Rill, but Lyra responds. Zora notices that Lyra feels like Raya now, and Asta tells him he won't let him forget him and tries to attack again. Lyra attacks, though, and Zora tells Asta to go hit him with his anti-magic while activating his traps to stop the Lindworm, because Zora's under the opinion this is a brainwashing spell. Asta trashes the Lindworm in a really cool display and grazes Lyra, but because it's not brainwashing, there's no spell affecting them, it doesn't do anything. Zora tells him it's time to retreat and come up with a plan, because he knows that Asta can't kill his comrades. Raya then states that he knows that Zora can't either. Marioliona breaks the wall, throws the two of them out of the hideout, and turns around to face Raya and Lyra. And Marioliona decides that if those other two can't kill them, she'll just have to kill them all. I expect her to get Fuego Leon. I expect her to get knocked out of the hideout unconscious. She might die. It's possible. It would actually make this arc way more impactful if somebody died right off the bat, especially somebody as strong as Marioliona. But honestly, I think she'll either get Fuego Leon or she'll just go missing. But, it was really cool to see that Zora understands Asta so well at this point that he knows Asta can't fight to kill his old allies, even though Zora recognizes that they're going to have to kill them. And then Raya recognizing that Zora also can't kill them. It was just really fun to see that, this weakness was evident. And there's not going to be a moment where Asta, goes to attack and then holds back. Instead, we've called it out right now, which makes it where we don't have to have that moment later. So that was really cool. But looking forward to more. As I said before, the Elf Saga is probably my favorite thing about the manga right now when it comes to Black Clover. So looking forward to more. Finally, for this week, we have Hunter x Hunter 380, Alarm. The true ramifications of the killings begin to set in, and the Zodiacs are doing all they can to prevent destruction. The three spiders team up with Wang, and they go on shift in guard rotation. It's now the fourth day. Illumi and Kaluto get apprehended by Mizai-stone and Botabai, but the two of them talk to him, and when they do, Illumi spills the beads, and Kaluto is not very happy about that, and they're moved to the Hunter's rooms. Mizai-stone can't decide whether to tell Kurapika or not, though, that the spiders are here, because if he does, Kurapika won't be able to focus on the princes, but if he doesn't, and the spiders are here to get Kurapika, Kurapika could be killed. They apprehend Prince Fugetsu as well? So Fugetsu was trying to escape, maybe? But surely not without Kachan, Caddy. So there's some cool stuff there that I want to get into. I want to know what's going on. If that was part of the plan with Melody to get Fugetsu and Caddy out of there or what. I'm curious. We won't get to know right away, though, because we're back on hiatus. Moving on into the lightning route. One Piece 900, Bad End Musical. This was a fun chapter. The musical happening and everything. I'm not a huge fan of cliffhangers that are just like, all your main characters are dead, even though you know they're all not. But this was still a fun chapter because of the musical and everything. The Promised Neverland 81, Defend to the Death. This was a fine chapter. It wasn't super fun. It wasn't super not. Getting to see more about Zach was cool, but Bayon is just gonna kill Gillian and Nigel next chapter, so it did the job. But Ziga 3 Decision, and then this was a fun chapter, getting to see that moment where they go back to his house and there's just a plane in his house because everybody died. It was mass destruction. There was nobody survived. Why would his mom be able to survive that? And we're literally liquefied. My Hero Academia 177 at the construction site. This was another fun chapter. Getting to see another side of Gentle. Getting to see Deku hold that girder in one arm. Pretty cool. We Never Learn 57. A Genius's new look lands in X's blind spot. Another thumbs up. I enjoyed this chapter well enough. Not a lot happened, but it was fun setup, and Ogata's got a new look. So sure, okay. Food Wars 257, How to Build a Specialty. I actually really enjoyed this chapter. Getting to see Soma use Arena's talents and getting to see that he and Arena were never able to really come up with a plan and just came up with a bunch of different plans. And even now they're not going by the plan. It's very Soma, and it was perfect. Robot Laserbeam 51, Dawn Traps. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a thumbs down. I really don't like the idea of the Dawn Traps at all. I don't like it when people interfere with matches. It'll be what it'll be. Dr. Stone 52, Age of Energy, 2 thumbs up. Really enjoying what happened to this chapter with the gears being made and then Chrome and Kiseki making that water wheel. Looking forward to seeing what the new hydroelectric power plant will bring into the series. Black Clover 151, Overwhelming Disadvantage. This was a fun chapter. Really enjoyed it. I liked it mostly because of the call out with Asta and Zora, but also because the fact that we've learned really quickly that anti-magic is not going to snap them out. So we don't have to worry about that being a thing for a while of them being like, well, Asta can bring them back. We learned right away he can't. And Mary Leona, standing back to be able to fight him off. She's probably going to die, or get knocked unconscious, or get lost. But either way, very much enjoyed it. And then Hunter x Hunter 380, Alarm, 1 thumb up. I thought it was a fun chapter, learning about how, if everything goes bad and the killings continue, then everybody's just going to lose it, and the ship will sink because of the civilians going out of control. It adds another layer to what we already knew, which is that things are really bad. And there's a lot of things you have to consider when you make a movement, which, that's Hunter x Hunter. So, all in all, this was a really fun week. I wish that I wasn't sick so I could, give my thoughts a little more concisely, a little more clearly. But I enjoyed this week. I'm looking forward to next week. One Piece will be on break.
First week before the next week added to your to-do list.
One Piece will be on break. Hunter x Hunter will be on break. But we'll still have some stuff. Ziga will be gone. So, who knows? Maybe next week will be light, or we'll have some new jump starts. We'll see how it goes. But either way, I've been Trey. This has been The Full Spectrum. And remember to always enjoy the full spectrum the jump has to offer.